Dr. Chon Kevin Yu. And when it comes to leadership, cultural identity isn't a hindrance, it's a strength. In this talk, the doctor, who is a VP of Enterprise Data Technology and Augmented Intelligence, acronym for EDTAI at American Express. He'll outline how his cultural values have made him a better leader, mentor, and business partner, and his hopes for the future of the AAPI community. And this talk will be moderated by our very own Theta Masters. I'll pass it over to you two.
Thank you so much for that beautiful intro, Hunter. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. So we're grateful to be joined today by Dr. Manchow Kevin Yu. Dr. Yu is currently, as aforementioned, the Vice President, Enterprise Data Technology and Augmented Intelligence in American Express. In this role, Dr. Yu has been leading multiple enterprise strategic capabilities to enable large solutions to create innovative and unique experiences for Amex colleagues and customers through data and intelligence technology. Dr. Yu, welcome. It's great to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Nice meeting you all.
Great. All right, so let's get right into it. I believe our first question would be, how do you identify within the Asian American and Pacific Islander community?
So I'm East Asian. My family is from Macau. We are Cantonese. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And we're intrigued to find out, who are the role models or mentors that have influenced you or even helped to guide you throughout this community?
Sure. So always a story have two sides, right? So for this question, also two sides. At my personal side, definitely my parents. I came from a very humble family. My father was the only income source for a family of four. Parents didn't have much education, but they are very honest and hardworking people. So when I grew up, they really respect every single decisions I make. Their principle is, I own the decision I make, right? Don't blame anything or anyone. They also, of course, they taught me to be like respectful to others, don't treat people differently because of their social status and things like that. That's my personal friend, my parents, people that I look up to, people that I saw how they act, how they operate, how they interact. At the professional side, I would say all the leaders that I served before or worked with before are my role models. I know, this answer seems a little bit diplomatic, but the truth is, think about that. No matter they are good or less good leaders, no matter from a personal perspective or from a professional perspective, I learned something from them, one way or the other, right? So that's why when we say the role model is not just a role model that doing everything so right that leading you, but also people make some mistakes and you observe, that can be your role model as well. You just don't repeat the same mistakes. So in my principle, leaders provide opportunities, but I own my career and orchestrate my own journey.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. And what lessons or guidance do you hope others can learn from your heritage, from your culture?
Sure. I think it's very important that we all understand, learn, and to protect our cultural heritage, so our future generations can continue to pass on the values and the benefit of the culture, right? Understanding in this context means appreciation. Because when we appreciate something, we value it and put it close to our hearts. So no matter how the world that we're in, no matter how it evolves, family will always be our number one supporter. They will always have our back. Those are something I want people to not learn from me, but just a gentle reminder to remind them, these are the other points to remember.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank
Yep.
you for that. Where would you like to see the Asian community advance? Where would you like to see the Asian community grow in the future?
A lot, actually. So let me think a little bit. First of all, I would like to see more Asian leaders. Asian leaders, not just at startup, not just at a tech sector, not just in academia, but also in corporate America. More and more Asian leaders, no matter East Asian, South Asian, or Southeast Asian, all the Asians. I really want to see more and more Asian leaders. I know sometimes people said that there's a ceiling, but I don't believe such a thing. So that's why first of all, I really want to see more Asian leaders per se, and more Asian leaders to rally, to offer support, and to empower our Asian community. That's really something I really want to see. And what does that mean, right? This could mean mentorship, sponsorship, allyship. So we all feel a sense of belonging, because belonging is very important, right? And the second thing after this, I would also like to see more and more of us accepting the fact that we are all different. We grew up in different environments. We experience different cultures. But I believe one thing, most of us have the same goal, to make the world a better place, right? The more we understand and respect our similarities and differences, the better we can lead and serve. That's the core. That's something I believe. And that's also how I want to see the Asian community advance and grow in the future.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. So you point out some things, that you would like to see happen in the future, right? How do you think, in present day, how do you think members of the Asian community, come together to offer that support to each other? How do you think it is currently?
So a lot of the things we can do, it's not about better or worse, it's like a lot of things we can do to improve the situation, I would call it that way. First of all, we need to stay strong, stay together under the needs of the Asian community. Think about that. Just use US as an example. Based on my memory, the US Asian population is about 5-point-something%, slightly less than 6%, but it's so diverse. All the members came from over 20 countries. That's my memory. Sorry, I didn't do the research ahead of time, but that's my memory, right? But again, 6% of the US population are Asians, and all the Asians came from over 20 different countries. Again, let it be East Asia, let it be South Asia, let it be Southeast Asia. All of us have a lot of different unique histories, culture, languages, and different needs. So the first one is like, after all this, what I'm saying is like, how can we identify the needs for all this type of Asian communities? It's very important, because it's very difficult for like one size fits all. It doesn't happen, right? So that's number one. After that, of course, I would like to see, I would not just see, I would like all of us to recognize and know the contributions and influence of Asian and Pacific Islanders to the history, to the culture, and the achievements of United States. And of course, if I dream bigger, possibly to the world, right? While keeping in mind that how diverse the Asian communities is. We are really diverse. I look one way, my friend who are Asians look the other way. Why? Because we all look different. and we all act different. We all talk different. We all have different accents. Accept that. But at the same time, not just accepting that, try to understand what caused all these differences. This cause is not a problem. This cause, our experience, our heritage, is how we make our culture shine. So that's very important. And I believe it is very important for us all, including myself, to understand the evolving landscape of the AAPI community. I believe if we try to put in enough time, try to put in enough understanding, try to learn all these things, all this will organically grow our support to each other. That's how I see it.
Beautiful. Let me just pause real quick to check the chat.
Sure.
All right, no questions for us as yet, so we'll continue. All right, when it comes on to leadership, mentorship, what would you say are the aspects of your culture and your heritage that help you in those areas, both leadership and in regards to mentorship?
So it's never just one factor, right? It's like, for example, like myself, I was born and raised in Macau. I'm not sure how many people in this call know Macau, M-A-C-A-U. Macau is a very tiny place. How tiny it is, it's like 46 miles square. That's it, whole Macau. Macau is right next to Hong Kong, one of the two special administrative regions of China now. So that's the place I grew up. Macau is a place that one can see East meets West. One can see Chinese culture, Portuguese culture, and a bit of Vegas at a time in the same place. Because why? Because Macau was former Portuguese colony and then returned back to China in 1999. So for myself, I'm very proud and very fortunate to have been exposed to such rich culture, because it makes the difference. It makes me understand when I grew up, right? I already know that there are different kind of people. It's not like the same. We have Cantonese people like me. We have the second generation, like my wife, their parents came from China, but she grew up in Macau. Or some of the friends we call Macanese, which are the Portuguese heritage, but grew up in Macau. And we also have those, some people migrate to Macau for special forces, right? Because back then, Portugal colony, those histories is like, you will see those things. It's like when I grew up, those are the people I saw. I already understand that in the world, there are so many different people, different culture, different accent, different things, right? That helps me to shape who I am today. When I was growing up, I was taught to be peasant. Respect your elders. That's our Cantonese culture, I would say, and help others wherever I can. But to be honest, did I do it 100% all the time, wherever I can? I cannot guarantee. But up till this moment, those things are so planted in my mind. So I do it whenever I can, no matter it's at my personal side or at my professional side, in my career, because I got so many helps, right? It's never one factor, one person, or one scenario, or one company. So I think these values help define who I am today. I'm a strong collaborator. I like to build long-lasting relationships, but sometimes it doesn't work that way in a workplace, right? We all know that, right? In a friendship, sometimes it doesn't work that way neither, but best intention and good intention always pays back, right? So I think my diverse background and experience makes me understand deeply. We are all different. But again, just like what I said like 2 minutes ago, it's like, we may all share the same goal. We want to make this world a better place. That's how I would answer your question regarding the leadership and mentorship, because it's not just one thing, it's like a long journey that how we shaped to me today. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And I totally agree with that. It's a variety of factors that really, you know, helps us when it comes on to those aspects of our lives. And it's like a continuous improvement as we go along, make some mistakes and change along the way. Thank you so much for sharing that. So what can others do to become better allies of the Asian community?
A lot. Before I answer your question, I can share a little bit about my personal story, my experience, right? It's like,
Sure.
I grew up in Macau, which was a Portuguese colony. By the moment I graduated from high school, I returned back to China. I went to Shanghai for my college, and then my first job was in Munich, Germany. Then I back to Macau, worked for a British company. Then I came to the States for my PhD. All these things, right? It feels like my mom sometimes jokes with me. It's like, hey, for something you really follow the traditions, but for something you really don't follow and don't listen, what's going on? It's just like every one of us, we have our own identity. We identify ourselves. Where do we fit? What's our core values? To more direct to your question is that number one, learn the history of Asian. You don't need to be Asian to learn the history of Asian, as well as Pacific Islander as well, right? Learn about our history. Learn about, no matter where you are, learn about what are the Asians' contribution to your community, if any. Maybe you're in a place that none possible. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying that Asians and Pacific Islander contribute to every single region, but that's something. Likely there must be something, right? Learn the histories. Even just take a look at it. If you're not interested, maybe just a little bit, at least to learn about it. That's important because the history build up what we are today, how we operate today, and how we see things today, right? That's number one. Number two, it would be really appreciated if you, no matter you're Asian or not, to support and empower our Asian community. Because we alone, look at the population, right? I just said in the States, like less than 6%. Without you, no matter how strong we are, how tight we are, how much we want to stay together, how loud we want our voice to be heard, it's very difficult. Of course, we're trying to do it, but at the same time, we need your support and empowerment to our Asian community. That's number two, support and empower Asian community. Lastly, be an active ally. Again, I'm repeating myself, just seem as simple as get involved. You don't need to have been an Asian to join Asian network or our community. Getting involved can be as simple as, let's start with food, right? Food connects people. That's what I believe. Just try our food. Asia is so big, right? Japanese, Taiwanese, different dishes, Korean, Cantonese food. You see different things. Even just from the food, you will see how diverse we are. And then even myself sometimes would ask a question. It's very interesting, even in Cantonese culture to Shanghainese dishes are so different. Why? We are just like, 2 hours away by flight, right? Why? What caused all this difference? Sometimes it triggered me to look for the answer as well. So be an active ally. That's very important. Those are the 3 points. Learn the history, support us, empower us, and be an active ally. That's how I would. That's what I would say. You don't need to be an Asian to get involved into the Asian community. For myself, when I was in college, I remember I grew up in Macau. I went to college in Shanghai. I've never been to the States, but I remember the friends among me. That was the time when I was like 17, 18, start listening like Little Bow Wow, Snoop Dogg, Bruno Mars, and trying to understand, interesting, why the things they are saying in their song Is that true in the States? Is that true what they're experiencing? It's not about just their day-to-day. Maybe that's their day-to-day, but also the history. I don't need to be in the same race, same color to try to understand that. I can through music. It also inspired me to very curious. How does it look? How does that work? Why they say something like that in the States, right? Sometimes good, sometimes ironic, right? We all accept that, right? I was just before this call in the setup section, I was talking to you, right? Yeah. When I was young, I have all the braiding, the reggae style hair. Yeah, I don't have much now, but those are the things. It's like getting to understand, try to understand. People would appreciate that. For example, when I was in Shanghai, I'm Cantonese. I don't speak Shanghainese. I didn't speak Shanghainese. My Mandarin was okay, I will say. But by the moment I start picking up Shanghainese, people would treat me in a way that, wow, this guy make an effort. They don't care if you don't speak well because you make an effort.
Yeah.
The same in the States is the same as like sometimes we put too much emphasis on, oh, I didn't speak well. I didn't speak well, so I would rather not to speak. No, wrong. It's okay. We all have different accent. Listen to me. I have very severe, strong Cantonese accent. But when we're communicating, you're understanding me. I hopefully at least like 90% plus or 95, if not 100%, right? I'm 100% sure in the past, 20 minutes, I pronounced some of the words wrongly. You need to guess what's that word. But whenever I put up the whole sentence, it doesn't stop you from understanding the meaning. That's so important. So again, be an ally. You don't need to be the Asian to understand the Asian community. So just to, because I gave you a very long answer, let me repeat your question. I remember it's like, what can others do to become better allies to the Asian community? That's how every one of us can do, especially for the Asians. Get involved, more active in the community. That's what we need. Come on. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. We have 2 questions in the chat. The first one is, as an ally of the Asian community, what is your advice to anyone growing up let me go again. As an ally of the Asian community, what is your advice for anyone growing up with identity issues which may be holding them back?
I heard about this actually quite often because my best friends in the States, they all grew up in New York. We call them ABC, American born Chinese. They grew up here. Some of them are the 2nd generation, some of them are the 3rd generation. Sometimes we touch on this topic as well. Maybe you can say that because I'm the 1st generation, I would say. I finished my study, I work here. But at the same time, don't mix up, not mix up, let me rephrase that. It's like your identity is your culture heritage. Think about that. If now it's an open book, no one's in the room, when you are with your parents, how would you identify yourself? It doesn't matter you identify yourself as generic, I'm Asian, or you want to go more specific, oh, I'm East Asian, or even more specific, I'm Japanese, I'm Chinese, I'm Korean. But even within China, right? Go even more specific. I'm Cantonese, I'm Shanghainese, I'm from different places. First of all, you need to answer yourself, which identity in a closed room at home you feel the most comfortable? That's the first question without anyone looking at you. Sometimes we try to look for a sense of belonging, I understand, but at home, try to find out what's your core. Okay, once you find out what's your core, the next thing is, like what I answered one of the questions like 5 minutes ago, to accept it, to accept it. I have one example to share if you, because your question is more like identity confusion, let me put it that way, right? It's like culture shock and all this thing. I consider myself speaking relatively well in English. It's not super, but well. When I was doing my PhD, I went on a conference to present. It was about 200, 250 people there listening to me, something like that. My advisor told me one thing. He was like, hey, remember, you're Asian. That moment I was like, whoa, what does that mean? Okay, we elaborate the question a little bit. He wanted to make me chill a little bit. Remember, when I look like this, when I got up to the stage, people may have the perception already, oh, he may not speak fluent English. Perception, which is fine, totally fine. If I speak well, that's the bonus. That's the bonus. So that's why it's like some people very focused on, oh, I need to blend in. I need to correct my accent. I need to learn as many slang as possible. You can do that. There's nothing wrong, but at the same time, do whatever you feel comfortable. Like me, again, I have severe accent. I make good use of that, right? I always make fun with some of my colleagues, and one of my leaders back then, when I start working with him or her, I said, sometimes I said something wrong. I said, oh, sorry, language barrier. For the first few times, they took it. And after a few times, they understand that's not true. Kevin was just joking, right? That's how you communicate with people. So my answer to you is like, hold your core belief. Don't let it go. That's your culture. That's your heritage. Hold it. If others don't understand, don't blend in. You should be proud of your culture. Explain to people. No one will require to blend in. So that's my long answer. Sorry, because a little bit emotional on that question. So yeah.
That's totally understandable. The other question was, what is that one experience that has strengthened your motivation to do the work you have been doing?
There is never that one moment, never. I was talking to a very senior leader a couple of weeks ago. He's very senior in a career-wise. He also said that there is never that one moment. I know in a lot of conversation, people look for that one thing, one trigger. No, it's always about the right time, the right leader giving you that pull or push. So it's never that one thing. But again, for myself, if I can answer on a series of things, it's like, look at me. I grew up in a very humble family. Really, really humble, I would say. 650 square feet living for 5 people living 600 square feet, 650 square feet, 2 bedrooms for 18 years. Think about it, right? But that also taught me, if I want something, I need to work hard and work smart to get it. When I went to Shanghai for my college, because I didn't speak Shanghainese and most of my classmates, they are Shanghainese, I got left out. I had to make an effort. Not about blending in, it's about respecting their culture. They don't expect me to speak exactly the way they are. They don't expect me to understand all the Shanghainese culture like they are. No. Coming to the States, the same thing. It's like no one would expect me to understand every single phrases, every single slang. They don't know. You see, so those are the things. It's like a series of things. Whenever you face some challenges, try to overcome it. Try to find your source of back. Can be your family, can be your best friend, can be someone you look up to. But we are human. Why we are here? Why we are here today? Why we are living so vivid? It's because we all have something to look forward to. So don't look for others' example. Others' examples are just for your reference, but look for that something that you are looking forward to in your life, then your problem will solve. Always things will work out as long as you work on it. Thank you.
Wonderful. There you have it, folks. Dr. Yu, Vice President of the Enterprise Data Technology and Augmented Intelligence in American Express. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good one.
Thank you.